You know, a lot of people talk about success in the arts or whatever it is, like it comes from, I don't know, magic out of nowhere. I definitely don't think that's true. My dad once told me a story about how Hyundai started making cars in the post-Korean War era. They studied successful foreign cars by taking them apart piece by piece in order to understand why they worked. Yeah, they actually brought in Fords and Mitsubishis apparently into Korea to study firsthand and to dissect. The principle made immediate sense to me. It made success less mystical. These companies that now seem world-class and inevitable, well, they started somewhere and they put in the sweat equity to study what worked until they themselves understood it. So when I started creating One Last Monster, I realized I needed a bit of that same mindset too. When you're sticking your neck out and making something of your own, one of the hardest questions is, hey, is this actually any good what I'm doing? Well, to get to the bottom of that question, and inspired by the Hyundai story, I tried to study success. In my case, successful original films. So I watched a ton of award-winning short films and studied everything about them. And from that in-depth study, I was just trying to understand what the bar actually was for what counted as good work. And then I had to ask myself as honestly as I could, hey, is what I'm making even close to that bar? Sometimes the answer was no, painfully. There were for sure tons of images, story ideas, and other pieces of the film that just didn't cut it in the end, that I ultimately wasn't proud of. Being that honest with yourself is brutal, but I think it's necessary. You can never really improve if you don't measure yourself against what's out there. So you might be like, okay, why are you sharing this with me, man? Well, I think the act of building original fictional worlds and IP can seem mysterious from the outside. Like, I don't know, maybe only certain people get to do it, but that's absolutely ridiculous. A big part of what I want to do with these One Last Monster creator commentaries is to show the mindset behind making something like this at all, to show that it's possible. So like I was hinting at earlier, I think a huge part of it is studying what works, being awed by your own work, and then learning from others. And then simply staying with the process long enough to build something real. Trust the process, right? That famous sports slogan. There's nothing chosen one about any of that. These are things that any artist can control, even if it's challenging. You know, as I continue to build One Last Monster out, I feel like I'm still on that journey, even though the short film is done. OLM isn't close to where I want it to be, but I do want to demystify this process again for y'all, because we live in a time where anybody from anywhere can build original work and find audiences for it. That's really freaking cool, because it means that you don't need to appeal to just a few gatekeepers. Yeah, if you ask me, I think we need more people building their own universes. I hope you are if you're watching out there and you're a creative. The world is just a better place with more artists being brave enough to share themselves through their work, I think. Thanks for watching. If you want to continue to support the work I'm doing with One Last Monster and help me build this channel, please consider becoming a Patreon. I'll put the link in the description below. Have a great day.